Hey, welcome. I'm just waiting to make sure that we are live and then we'll get started. Today's actually going to be another super short one because we're making a really fast and easy meal, biscuits and gravy. Now, most people eat this for breakfast, but I am all about breakfast for dinner. So I make breakfast and biscuits, oh my word. I make biscuits and gravy for dinner all the time. It's a family favorite. I especially love it because, like last week's recipe, it is so stinking fast and easy to make. So just making sure that everything is working and then we'll get started. So if you are on, let me know where you're watching from, then I'll know everything's working just fine and we can get started. There we go. This one's live. I can check for comments here. If I can get to the video. Okay, Adriana is on. Hello, yay! Oh, it looks like it's working. That is always a relief. I cannot tell you how much I have done today, just trying to get everything to work. So I updated last week. We couldn't get Facebook to work, just YouTube. So those of you watching on Facebook, sorry that you missed last week. So I ended up updating my encoder and updating my router and calling my internet provider, and it has been an insane day, but looks like it was worth it because it looks like we're working, so yay. All right, so for those of you joining us, today we're making my biscuits and gravy. This is actually like a 6-ingredient biscuits and gravy because it's 2 ingredients for the biscuits and it's 4 ingredients for the gravy. So it doesn't get much easier than that. Now, so I'm using self-rising flour and then I'm using cream. And those are the 2 ingredients that we're using to make the biscuits. Now, if you want to make a more involved biscuit, of course, you can use flour, you can use a rising agent, but self-rising flour has both of those together. And then of course you can use butter and cut it in and then add the milk, but cream is basically butter and milk put together. So it's a super short, quick and easy biscuit. But if you have a biscuit recipe that you love, obviously go ahead and use that. Anything that you have that is your standard or your classic and that you're really happy with, use that. But the gravy is perfect, perfect. So I'm excited to get started. So to make this dough, we're actually using a food processor. And, this is the one that I have. This is a nice Hamilton Beach big one. I really love this one. So I'm gonna add all, this self-rising flour. Trying not to get too much of a cloud smoke in the air. And now I've always wondered about this. When you read a recipe and somebody's like 6 ingredients, then you count it up and you're like, it's actually 8. That's because most people don't count salt and pepper as ingredients because they're things that you can add or not add. They're pretty much always optional. Now, I don't consider salt optional ever, but so I'm adding a pinch of salt to this. And you can go ahead, I'm actually gonna add 2 pinches of salt. And then really quickly, because I added that salt, we're gonna add the lid and give it a little pulse. Just like that. Oh, I can't see my screen on my overhead thing. That is weird. There we go. All right. I'm gonna move the focus so that you can see right inside. There you go. How's that? Yay, it focused. It worked. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to add the cream. Now you can either add the cream in one shot, like add it all right now before you pulse it, or you can add it while you're pulsing it. I've tried it both ways and I haven't seen much of a difference. So you can either add it right now all the way in and then pulse this or puree this. Oh, one of the things that I forgot to mention is that I am using the plastic blade because we're just mixing this. We don't actually need to use it as a food processor and cut this with the really, really sharp blade. So that's my choice. So I'm gonna get this closed. I'm actually gonna turn it on and then I'm gonna pour the cream right into it. it's starting to come together, as you can see, but it's not quite together all the way yet. Now we don't want to beat this until it's entirely smooth, but we do want it to be cohesive. So I'm gonna scrape with a spatula what's left in here, and then I'm gonna keep beating it. It should just take another like 30 to 60 seconds. Going from super floury to more of a dough. So now it is done, and I think you can totally see the difference in what this looked like before and what it looks like now, right? Now it's a really come together dough. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And we're going to upend this right out onto the counter. And now we're going to bring it together. Now there's a couple basic rules for biscuits that I wanted to go over. Oh, I'm gonna take that extra flour that was on the bottom and spread it out. All right, so a couple really good rules for biscuit making is to have your ingredients be cold. Like if I'm adding cheddar to it, I actually shred the cheddar and then I leave it in the fridge. Sometimes I'll even freeze it. If I'm doing the butter and milk method, I make sure that it's really cold before I add it. You don't have to make the flour cold, although I have heard that some people, like, that's a trick that they like to do. I think it depends on how warm it is where you live. If you're going to, you want the fats to be cold, because if the fats, like in this case just cream, are too warm, then the dough becomes too cohesive of a dough, which leads to tougher biscuits. We want it to be a little bit floury with chunks of the fat in there and not completely cohesive. So the other thing is you want to be super gentle with the dough. Once you have it to where you want it, you don't want to over mix it. Like, I'm not kneading it now at all. I'm just patting it into place. That's another thing. You want to pat your dough into place. You don't want to use a roller and roll it out. That rolling out kind of like spreads the dough in a different way than patting it does, and it will actually mix together and be too tough as well. So those are two tricks to making sure that your biscuits don't get too tough. You want to make sure that your baking powder or like self-rising flour isn't too old and that the rising agent has gone bad. And then the last thing that you want to do is you want to use a really sharp biscuit cutter, because you can't, once you cut your biscuits, come in. Sorry, just one second. I think that is my ex-husband late for picking up the kids. Just one second. I'll be right back. Don't leave. I'm already going. I thought you already had the kids. I thought you could come earlier. Can you send like Paul or Jonathan in for them? Because I can't find them and I'm in the middle of rest. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Sharp. You can't re-roll this. Once you pat it out into place and you cut it, all the excess just really gets tossed. If you try to knead all of that dough back together, you're going to get those tough biscuits, and that's just not worth it. So to save myself from having a lot of waste, this is my favorite biscuit cutter, this hexagon shaped biscuit cutter. And the reason I like it is there's no waste, and you can just keep cutting and match this up together. So that's why it's my favorite. It's amazing. If you are going to use a round cutter, a classic biscuit shaped cutter, one, you want to make sure that it's nice and tall, because if it's too short, you might get it lost inside the dough, because we're really only trying to pat this out to be about 3/4 of an inch thin. We don't want to go much thinner than that, or that will result in much shorter biscuits. So when you have a round cutter, the one thing that you want to make sure that you don't do is twist while you're cutting, because what happens when you twist while you're cutting any type of dough, it actually seals the edges of the dough together as you're pressing that. Now, if you seal the edges of your biscuit dough, it's not going to rise properly, or it will rise on one side but get stuck on one side, and that will lead to like lopsided biscuits, which isn't great. So you just want to cut with a nice sharp cutter straight down, and that's what's going to allow you to have those nice rises when it comes to biscuits. Okay, let's check on our dough. I'm not quite down to 3/4 of an inch yet. Again, I'm not trying to knead this. I just pulled it right out, pressed it together, and I'm now just patting it down. Okay, that's about 3/4 of an inch, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to use my biscuit cutter. Now, sometimes I kind of re-manipulate my dough so that I can try to get as much as possible with this cutter without having too much waste. And there we go. And just straight down. Oh, did my hair get in the way? I'm so sorry, guys. And I'm going to put this directly onto a cookie sheet, and you can see how those sides have that nice cut. That's going to allow those to rise beautifully. And now we're going to match up the other cutters. Get that right there. Okay, and then over here. Now, the one thing that you can do, I will say, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have nine biscuits. This is why I tend to make a double batch. And I don't have too much waste, but I do have a little bit of waste. So one of the things that I like to do is actually just take these little half biscuits that I have and give them a nice sharp cut. So they'll be little half biscuits, but when you're making biscuits and gravy, that's not really that big of a deal. You can hide those at the bottom of the plate if you're serving it to company, and still get some use. So now I have like 4 little half biscuits. And the rest of this, I'm actually going to just toss. And it seems like a lot of waste, but it would be a lot worse if I had used round cutters. So let's bring in the cookie sheet and get my biscuits on here. So I have the oven preheated to 425. We're gonna cook these on there. So I have my 9 full ones, and then I have my little like half-shaped ones I'm gonna keep on there as well. And throw that in the oven. I'm gonna bake these for about 13 minutes. Whew, that is a warm oven. And in the meantime, we are now going to make the sauce after I wipe down the counter. There's a lot of stuff on here. So, who here loves biscuits and gravies? The funny story. Oh, hi, honey. Say hi and then go with your daddy.
Hi.
Yeah. You like biscuits and gravy, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it your favorite?
Not really.
Not really, but you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, give me kisses. Okay, bye-bye.
It would slide across the table if I could.
I know, but bye-bye. Okay, have fun. Sorry. I was trying to remember where I was. You made me lose track. Okay. So I was actually an adult before I had biscuits and gravy. I'm not quite sure why. Sorry, I'm trying to center the pan. I'm not quite sure why I never had biscuits and gravy before, but I hadn't. And my sausage is in the fridge. But I don't know, it was just one of those things that never looked appealing to me, and I tend to, eat with our eyes first, and so it just never really appeal to me, and so I hadn't eaten it. And then one day I finally tried biscuits and gravy, and I fell in love, and the rest is history, and now I make it all the time. So for the sausage, I just use a classic breakfast sausage that comes in a tube. I like the original flavor. I actually like the spicy version, but my kids don't. I made it once, so they were like, go back to the way you normally make it. So now I just make it with the original sausage, and then everybody's happy. So you want to start with a large pan, and you want a nice wooden spoon. Hey baby, your daddy's waiting. Please call baby. Oh, and this is not on. No wonder it's not heating. Oh, I forgot. Oh, it's just me being silly. This one doesn't work with my, with these pans. Okay, bye. I love you, sweetheart. Bye. Have a nice night. And go back to the old school one. There we go. Oh, my word. It has been a day, let me tell you. All right, so now this should start heating up. I was wondering why it wasn't getting hot very fast. Could not figure it out. All right, so while this is heating up, I will catch up on some comments. Okay, Brenda from Oklahoma, Rob from Missouri, April, hi. That's taking way too long. You would have already mixed it thoroughly in a bowl a lot quicker. Like I said, Rob, do it however you want. Usually I throw it in the food processor, and then I step away and do something else, and then I come back and it's done. I'm not usually just standing there waiting for it, but personal preference, do it your own way. Hello from Texas, hi. Let's thumbs up the video. Oh, April, that's so kind. Thank you so much. Where did I get my biscuits cutter at? I got these on Amazon, and after the video, I will make sure that I link to them. They are linked in the blog post as well. You've never had it. You've never had biscuits and gravy? That's crazy. I guess it's not that crazy since I didn't have it till I was an adult either. You should try it, June. It's really good. Why don't you re-roll the dough out? Because you don't want to overmix biscuit dough. It's kind of sensitive, and when you do, you're just going to end up with tough biscuits, and they're just not worth making or baking. Nobody wants to eat those. Can you please put the ingredients and measurements up again? Thank you. Les, you're on Facebook. If you just go to the description and just click the link, you go to a printable recipe on my blog. You love biscuits and gravy, Kay. Awesome. Hello from New Hampshire. You have a thumbs up from Tijuana. Thank you so much, Judith. I appreciate that. Okay, well, this is starting to cook slowly but surely. This pan takes a little bit longer to heat up. Where did I get my biscuit cutters at? So let's see if there's anything else I need to catch up on. You just found me thanks to your 3-year-old. She's currently into cake decorating videos on YouTube. Awesome. Welcome. I hope you enjoy. Katie, hi. It's nice to see you. Old friend from Texas. I have lived all over the place. Hello from New Hampshire. Hello from Nova Scotia. I hear it is beautiful there. So we did my daughter's senior pictures yesterday. We were supposed to do them today, but then it turns out it was raining all day today. So we really quickly moved a bunch of stuff around and did them yesterday instead. And it's so crazy. My baby sister is a high school senior photographer. She's one of the top 25 photographers in the country, so she's amazing, and I'm super lucky to have her. Anyway, she has a makeup artist that she loves for her high school girls to use, and she didn't go crazy. It wasn't like, you know, super adult makeup. It was just a little makeup, and my 18-year-old doesn't usually wear a lot. And like watching her transform and get just that basic, simple makeup put on, it was so crazy because she's my little girl who doesn't care about her hair or makeup, and then she just looked so beautiful, and going around and in her senior pictures was just really crazy. So I'm feeling a little nostalgic today. Thus, comfort food, right? Okay. Oh my word, I forgot how long this burner takes to cook. So the meat is starting to cook, but this burner always takes a little bit longer, so I should have preheated it. I did not realize I would have to use this burner. So we're just going to give it a little bit more time. It is heating up. So are there any questions while we are waiting for this to heat up that I can quickly answer? I think next week the plan is to do my mac and cheese bites. So you make my homemade mac and cheese, you freeze it, cut it up, dip it, fry it It's amazing. So that's going to happen next Tuesday. So don't forget to look out for that if you subscribe to my YouTube page or if you follow my Facebook page. And don't forget to click the bell icon on YouTube so you'll be notified when I go live. So that is the plan. Hello from Texas. You enjoy your biscuits and gravy. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. She looks lovely. She is. She is cutie. If you want to see some of those previews, I have some pictures up on my Instagram stories from last night. It was pretty crazy. I feel really old today. This Northern girl is not biscuit savvy. I will say these are not like a classic Southern biscuit. This 2-ingredient biscuit, which I actually got from King Arthur's Flour. They have amazing recipes. It's definitely not what like a Southern person would be like. These are classic biscuits. In fact, I have a lot of comments on the blog where people are like, why do you make your biscuits that way? Honestly, it's just a quick and easy version. I have a lot of different versions of biscuits that I make. It kind of depends on how much time I have and what I'm topping it with. And for this recipe for me, the sausage gravy is the star. And so the simple biscuits are just a nice, quick, easy way to go, personally. And I prefer this to like pop it open a can and it doesn't take that much longer. So, Jennifer is watching. Hello, nice to see you. They look yummy. Great idea. Awesome idea. This was the breakfast. Oh, this was your breakfast and your husband's from Texas. Awesome. Like I said, I don't eat breakfast 99% of the time, but I love breakfast food, so we eat a lot of breakfast for dinner at my house. So, all right, this is finally starting to brown up. So you just want to break up the meat while you're cooking it, and it will actually brown fairly quickly once the pan is hot, which is nice. Now, I've seen a lot of people use those like Star Black plastic meat breaker upper tools. I've never had one. I've just always used a wooden spoon. But if you have one, I would love to hear if it's really worth it. Like, are those things really that good at breaking up meat? I don't know. I've always wondered, but you can only see a couple of my kitchen tools. I have like 3 other shelves over there. I have a huge cabinet over here. I have so many kitchen toys. It's like, do I really need one more thing? So I just haven't bothered getting one. But if somebody says it's totally worth it and you should get one, I'll give it a try. Man, it always feels like it goes so fast when you're making it in your kitchen by yourself, and then the moment you're live and people are watching, feels like it takes forever. Where did I learn this recipe? That is a great question. The super simple 2-ingredient biscuits I got from King Arthur's Flour. They asked me to do a sponsored post for them, and they asked me to use their self-rising flour in this recipe. And I did it. I did it with some sharp white cheddar as part of the biscuits. Mwah, so good. It was so amazing, and it's just kind of become my go-to biscuit recipe ever since. And this gravy recipe actually got from another food blogger called One Sweet Appetite. She's actually the one who made it for me and introduced me to it. And I fell in love. I do it a little bit differently than she does, but she's the person who I first learned this from and who I got the base recipe from. So, so there's that. That's a great question. If one has too many biscuits, you like to use it for strawberry shortcake. I do love strawberry shortcake, but that for me that's a totally different recipe, and I never have leftover biscuits. But yes, you totally can. If you have leftover biscuits, you can do anything you want with them. Yes, you use yours all the time, Joyce, the little plastic breaking up meat thing. I get that you use it all the time, but is it worth it? Is it really better than just using a wooden spoon to break up the meat? Like, that's what I want to hear. Why is it so amazing that I should get one more kitchen tool? You know what I mean? Okay, I'll cut up. You love yours. Lisa also loves hers. Again, like, does it really make it a difference? You know what I mean? Is it really that worth it? That's what I want to know. Okay, we are getting close. It doesn't look like it. Oops. It doesn't look like it because there's still a lot of pink, but once it cooks fast. So we are getting close. Try not to over stir it because by letting it sit, that's how it actually cooks faster. So I try to just mix it up as it starts to cook along the bottom. But you can hear that nice sizzle we've got going now. It's nice and warm. So this is actually where if you wanted to add a lot of spice and other flavors, you can actually add it at any point during this recipe. So when I first posted this recipe, I had a comment where somebody said that they like to make heart attack sausage gravy. So they not only add a pound of sausage, but they also added like half a pound of cut up bacon. I have not tried it yet. I have been meaning to, but every time I have a night where I'm like, oh, it's dinner time, I haven't thought of anything, and I'm going to make this, I don't have bacon around, so I haven't really thought ahead to give that a try. So let me know if you have tried that, what you think about it. Yeah, I get enough comments on how much fat is in this recipe. I don't know how people would react if I also added bacon, but I'm guessing it's delicious, and I think my kids would probably love it. So the next thing that we're going to do once the meat is all cooked is you want to add the flour, and the grease from the sausage actually become roux, and that's your thickener for your gravy. But I have found that the brand of sausage that I like to use for this recipe, which has the flavor that I like, does not have a lot of grease left, as you can see right here. Whoop. Come on. Okay. So we're almost all the way cooked. And as you can see, there's just not a lot left. The pan's actually fairly dry. So one of the things that I do that I changed from the person I learned this recipe from is actually to add some butter. Now I've seen recipes where it calls for like 4 tablespoons, and I've seen recipes where it calls for less. This is where I get a lot of comments. I just do a whole cube. Now we're going to let that melt really fast, and then we're going to add our flour. So the other thing that I have had people comment on and suggestions for this recipe that people have like commented and said that they've changed about this recipe and have really liked is that they've added other spices. I've had some people say they like to add fresh sage or dried sage. I've had a couple people say rosemary, but that's been a little on the unusual side. Check the biscuits. Oh, they've risen beautifully. I've had some people say that they like to add onions and garlic, which, let's face it, onions and garlic make everything better, so I'm all for that. I've had a couple other people say that they like to add nutmeg to sausage gravy, which I have not done. Okay, look how beautifully these have risen. You can already see how much taller they are than when we measured them out. And you can see that beautiful golden color on the top, and they're nice and golden on the bottom. I'm going to set these aside. And as you can see, our butter is also melted now. So we're going to add the flour and stir this all together. I've had some other people say that they like to add red pepper flakes. And I've also had some people comment that they like to add fennel. So I have not really changed up what I do, so I haven't tried any of those. I've tried the red pepper flakes, and I liked it, but again, my kids didn't. My kids liked the classic that I've always made for them. That's what they've been happiest with. So, all right, so the flour is cooked a little bit to the bottom, but once we add the milk to that, that will come up just fine. So it's nice and thick. And now we're going to add the milk. If I can get this to work. Come on, camera. Okay. Now I've had some people say they like to add cream, but I have found that it gets thick enough with just the milk, so I have not used that. I think if I wasn't adding the butter, then maybe I would consider using the cream, but for me, the milk is enough. Now, I always use whole milk because that's the only milk I ever buy. I only ever use whole milk in all of my cooking and baking, so personal preference. So if you're going to use a lower fat milk, I would consider using less because you do definitely want this to thicken up. So instead of the full 4 cups, I could probably start with like 3.5, and just to see how it goes. So now I'm just scraping the bottom once I've added this liquid, and that helps get all that cooked butter and flour from the bottom mixed in, and that's going to help us thicken. And what we want to do now is bring this up to a low simmer. And that's going to take just a couple minutes. So out of all the spices that I mentioned, was there one that you would consider using, that you would want to try first? I've been seriously considered trying the bacon. But I haven't really considered trying any of the others. Like I said, I tried the red pepper flakes. I loved it. My kids thought it was a little bit too much. I might have added too much. I only did like, okay, I say 1/4 teaspoon, but mine's always like a full 1/4 teaspoon, so it was more than that. But yeah, my kids also didn't like, we tried the Italian sausage before, and we've tried the hot sausage before, and my kids didn't really care for either of those, although I liked both as a change. But I think that's what like that rosemary or sage would do, is give it more of that Italian sausage effect. So really, I would actually try just playing with different sausages before I tried adding a lot to the sauce. But that's just me. Brenda says she saves her bacon grease in a mug and she puts that. Perfect. You know, I used to have a bunch, and my assistant was cleaning my kitchen a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "What is this?" And she scraped it out and threw it away. About broke my heart. But that's okay. It's probably for the best. I probably don't need more bacon grease in my life. What sausage brand are you using? I like just the regular Jimmy Dean's. That's the one that I like, that I go for. I haven't, yeah, that's what I've tried. You've agreed with Joyce. Your gravy doesn't seem to be very fatty. That's great, right? If you find that the sausage that you're using has a lot of grease already, then you don't necessarily need to add the extra butter, or you don't need to add as much extra butter. But when your pan is totally dry after cooking the sausage, then you need some kind of fat as part of the thickener. Now, one of the reasons that I actually like this sausage is because I like the pan getting dry and cooking, because it browns the sausage in a different way and it gives it a different texture as it gets a little bit more crispy, I would say. Just be careful not to dry out your sausage by overcooking it. Yes, it's great. You use it in yours all the time. Have you tried putting in a little bit of pepper? Yes, I'm going to add salt and pepper. I always add salt and pepper. I don't really count that as a change. Like, that's just the way it is. I always like to make the sauce first though, and then add the salt and pepper, and then taste it and see what I think, because I notice, I don't know if it's the weather or what, but sometimes it doesn't need much salt, and sometimes it needs more. So I always like to taste fruit. Brenda, you use a flat wooden spoon. I am so glad. When is your next live video? Roman, next Tuesday, 4:30 Mountain Time, so same time as I started today. And I will be making mac and cheese bites, so it'll be delicious. You'll try the pepper flakes. You generally buy the hot sausage. Yeah, if you like the hot sausage already, you might not need the red pepper flakes, but if you like things spicy and hot, it's worth trying. It definitely adds a little kick to it. You can always try like a cayenne pepper too. The red pepper flakes kind of stays more in that realm of what sausage gravy is, in my opinion. Okay, I think I'm all caught up with that. So we're almost to the point that it is starting to simmer, but we're not quite there yet. This is what I hate about using this burner. This particular burner is more slow going than my other burner, but this is my favorite pan to use for the sausage gravy. So I guess I should have used my cast iron pan though, because then I could have used the other one. But I don't know. I like this big, wide, flat pan. I think that it makes it easier to stir. So you know how you kind of all have that thing? This is the pan I use to make spaghetti and sausage gravy, and that's kind of like its uses are those two recipes. But that's just me. Cheryl, hi. All right, so for those of you who are joining us late, we are making sausage gravy and homemade biscuits. So biscuits and gravy, one of my absolute favorite breakfast for dinner foods to make, and it is super simple. For the biscuits, it was just self-rising flour and cream, and now for the sausage gravy, it's sausage, butter and flour for the thickener, and then milk. And we're just waiting for it to come to a simmer, and it will thicken up really quickly after that. All right, so are there any other questions that I can answer while we are waiting for this to come to a simmer? I'm just making sure that I keep scraping the bottom as I'm stirring this. I like these wooden spoons that are a little flat on one side. I find that they're really great for that, just because I don't want anything to start to burn to the bottom. It will affect the sauce boiling. If anything starts to stick to the bottom, it won't boil as quickly or as easily. Well, that is all we're waiting for here. Maria, you're joining us from Lakeland, Florida. Welcome. Oh man, It is so warm in here. So I don't know about you guys, but Utah is crazy in the spring. I have gone from having my heater on, to having my air conditioner on, to having my heater on again, air conditioner, heater, air conditioner, heater. It has been insane back and forth. Last week it went from like this gorgeous sunny, like 75-degree day to snowing and then being 50 degrees for a couple of days. Like, spring in Utah is just crazy. It cannot make up its mind. But there's some beautiful blossoms out right now, which is really nice, and my grass is growing like crazy. In fact, I have been out of town for the last 2 weeks at conferences, and I came home and one of my neighbors had mown my lawn because my daughter had sent me a picture and my grass had gotten to like, I don't know, 1.5 feet high in some places. I'm that neighbor. It was awful. I had asked my boys to mow the lawn while I was gone, and they just apparently hadn't gotten to it. Anyway, so one of my neighbors came by yesterday while I was gone and mowed my lawn. I backed out of the house today to drive the kids to school, and I was like, something's different. What is it? Took me a while to realize what it had been. And my cat had kittens again. So it is just, spring is in the air right now. All right, we're starting to thicken, even though, come on, we're not as thick as I want yet, and we're not at a simmer yet. Once the simmer starts, it'll be practically done, but it is definitely getting thicker as I'm stirring. I think you can see the difference already. So now I'm actually gonna give it a little quick taste and decide about the salt and pepper. Oh, look, it is, it's starting to simmer. Good, it won't be very long now. So I'm gonna blow on this and see what I think. Okay, so I'm going to use my fresh pepper shaker because I like the way that that fresh pepper flavors this. And the cool thing about these pepper shakers is, I just got it, it's brand new, so it's like a fun toy for me. But you can actually change the size right here of the pepper that you want. So you can go from big to small, medium to small. So I'm gonna stick with like a medium because I like it a little bit on the flaky side. And same thing with the salt. I'm going to go for a slightly bigger salt as well. And the reason I like freshly ground salt and pepper in this is I feel like it has a more round flavor. That's the wrong way of saying it. I feel like it gives a better flavor profile quicker. So like when you're adding pepper and salt to the end instead of the beginning, I feel like that fresh salt just gives it a nice bite to the flavor and really shines. Okay. Oh, this is thickening up so beautifully. All right, so I'm gonna give it another taste to see what I think. Blow on that. All right, go for a little bit more salt. It's the only thing negative about using a grinder is it's really hard to measure how much salt and pepper you're really getting in here. A little bit more pepper to that too. All right, and stir that up again, and then taste it again. I'm going to turn this down now because it's starting to get nice and thick. And now we're just trying to go for flavor. Oh, look how beautiful that looks. Like I said, the whole reason that I was nervous about trying biscuits and gravy when I was growing up is I just kind of couldn't get past the look. But now that I love it, I think it looks amazing. Even though this very same look made me question if I ever wanted to eat it when I was younger. Crazy talk. It's delicious. Everyone should try it. Okay. Oh, that is good. We have that right on. The salt and pepper is perfect now. All right, so I'm just going to let this simmer for like another probably 90 seconds and get that last little bit of thickness. Now this is really where your own personal preference comes into play. Some people like their sausage gravy just like this. This is like the perfect thickness for them. I like mine just a tad bit thicker, but whenever you're happy with it, just turn it off. That's when it's good. And if it gets a little too thick, it's the easiest thing in the world to fix because you just add a little bit more milk, right? It's one of the ingredients anyway. If you find that like you ran to the bathroom because it wasn't getting thick and then you come back and it's all of a sudden super thick and you want it to be a little thinner, just add a little bit of milk. I always keep a little bit of extra milk on hand for that reason. In fact, the original recipe that I got called for just 3 cups of milk, and I found that I was always adding so much extra milk that now I just add 4 cups of milk to the beginning, and that gives me the desired effect that I'm looking for. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you prefer your sausage gravy on the thicker side or the thinner side? Hello from Arizona. Hello, Jalisa. Is that how you say that? Hopefully it is. Do I have a link for the shakers? Cheryl, I will add a link for the shakers once I get off. You just ate dinner, but this sounds so good. You're going to Walmart and you're going to get some sausage and make it. It really is. It's so good. It's so fast. It's one of those great dinners that I can make when I'm like running out of time. Okay. Whoop. Keep thinking that I'm switching camera angles and it keeps not switching. There we go. That's the problem with the touch screen. They start to not work after a while. Hello from Ontario, Canada. You've never tried biscuits and gravy. If you had the recipe, you will give it a try. Sheila, you were on Facebook, so just go up to the description, click the link in the description box, and it'll take you right to my blog where there's a printable recipe for it. Super, super easy to make. Thick. Michelle likes it thick. Romina likes it thick too. Brenda likes it thick as well. Oh good, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. It's 6 o'clock in Oklahoma and it's supper time. Yes, Brenda, this is totally my dinner. It's 5 in Caldwell, almost dinner for you. What store do you get such great utensils? I'm trying to remember. A brand sent me these salt and pepper shakers, these Colin Mason pepper shakers. So I'm not sure where you can get them, but I'm sure you can get them on Amazon. You can get everything on Amazon. You can get everything in the world on Amazon. It's amazing. What is this contraption? You mean the sausage gravy? Do I have a link for the shakers? Yes, Cheryl, I do not right now because I am talking, but as soon as I finish this and get off, I will find the link and I will add it and respond to your comment for you. Okay, all right, this is looking good. I would probably, if I was just making this for myself, I'd probably leave it another oh my word, did not get the cameras to change. I would probably leave it like another minute or 2. This is when I would call the kids though, and then as they're all gathering, which always takes a couple minutes, it would just do that last little bit of thickening up and it would be perfect. But for now, I am hungry and hot. My air conditioner is not working right now, so I'm going to move this off to the side. I'm going to get a biscuit. We're going to put the sauce on it and enjoy. So I have a pretty plate all ready to go. Let's change the camera angle so we can get a better shot of the final project. And there's so much over here you don't even want to know what a mess it is over in the real life over here. Okay. Let's get a biscuit. Okay. So I have this nice thick golden biscuit. I'm going to break it apart. I'm going to get some of this gravy and add it right on top. Yeah, look how good that looks, and it smells good too. Look at all that steam rising from it. It is so hot. Okay, let's cut into this. Oh, that biscuit is perfect. It just like broke apart. Okay, here we go. You can see the texture of that biscuit. It's amazing. Now for my favorite part, when I get to eat. So hot. Oh, so good. The biscuits are just light and flaky, and the sausage, this sauce tastes amazing. It always does. It's so good. Anyway, biscuits and gravy. I want to say this did not take very long to make. we're at 44 minutes, and if I was using this on a regular burner, it would have cooked the meat and the sauce a lot faster. I usually can make this whole meal, I want to say in like 20-25 minutes. Usually I start the biscuits, they cook for 13 minutes. While they're cooking, I make the sauce. Usually by the time the biscuits are done, the sauce is done, and dinner is ready to go. So this is like a 20-25 minute dinner typically for me, and it's so good. So I'd love to hear any other suggestions that you guys have for recipes in the future. Remember, I go live every Tuesday. Next week we're doing my mac and cheese, deep fried mac and cheese bites. So good. You guys are not going to want to miss those. And that's it. I'll stay on for a couple minutes and answer any final questions people have, and then I will remember to get on and add the links to the biscuit cutters as well as the salt and pepper shakers. I love these grinders. They're awesome. I've only had them for a month and I use them all the time. So yeah. You do really keeping it together with cameras, etc. Thanks, Brenda. I have been doing live streaming for a couple of years now, so that helps. Well, this will be your tomorrow's dinner. Awesome, Cheryl. Let me know what you think after you make it. Hopefully you love it as much as we do. In fact, like as you heard, when my kids were leaving, they were like, and I was talking to you guys, and I said something about making biscuits and gravy. They're like, what? We want those. Where? So it's definitely a family favorite for us. Have a good night. You're heading to the store. Have a great night. You do love to see it when I do the Batman inside the cake. Oh, you'd love to see me do that live. Okay, I have the edited version of the Batman inside the cake, but you would like to see a live version of that. That would be a long video, but I will add that to the list. You still can't get the cut right. And you've seen the full version, not just the Facebook version, but the full version, and you still have some questions. Yeah, I can add that to the list and work on that. I try to only do live cakes like once a month just because they're so long, and I'm not sure how many people really want to watch for that long, but that one was a really fun cake. I agree. I can help you out with that. It looks thicker for you. Just one. Don't worry, Tina. After I turn it off, I will have like 5 more biscuits and gravy. I actually already made a whole nother batch of biscuits because usually I make a double batch, but that can get tricky in the machine. So I made a batch earlier today so that I have plenty of biscuits for myself. Yeah, I will definitely be eating more than one. Okay, I think that is done. Cheryl, avocado fries. See, that would involve eating avocados, and I'm just not a fan. Yeah, I can't. The sad thing is my sister loves avocados, and she's allergic, and I do not, but I'm not allergic. I have a couple things I just do not do. Avocados, bananas. Nope. Those are going to be nopes. I was planning on doing fried apple fries with a vanilla bean creme anglaise sauce from Legoland. They make that at Legoland. We had it. We loved it. I was planning on making a home version of that. I have a lot of things on the list that I'm planning on making from all the vacations and trips that I've taken in the last year. I'm way behind. You want to see how you make your cornbread? Oh, my cornbread is so delicious. It's so easy. I actually did a video making my cornbread on YouTube a couple years ago. It is an edited, like an uploaded video, not a live. I think I made them live with clam chowder, or maybe it was just edited with clam chowder. But yeah, I can add that to the list. My clam chowder and my cornbread are super, super good. Super easy to make. Yes, awesome. You love the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You guys are so sweet. Okay, I think we're all caught up with questions, and so I'm going to go eat. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. Maybe bye.